Hello Call of Duty fans and welcome to week 2 of the Conference Championships. My name is Connie and this week Jordan alongside Zep. It's a European dream team right here to close out what could be one of the more interesting Conference Championship finals that we do have on the table for you today. St. Clair Saints versus Akron Zips. Zep, this could be one of the absolute all-time greats.
Yeah, this should be a fantastic matchup between both of these sides going into what is a best of 7. We've had a little look at the stats beforehand getting into this one, and it's going to make for, again, it's a word that I think I use too much from time to time, but truly an interesting matchup to say the least. When you take a look at these records, you have one side that is great, but one side that is flawless. But when the pressure's on, when you get to this stage, could we see things change from here on in? As we take a look at the head-to-head, you can see here, St. Clair Saints, the definition of flawless across the board. But Akron, that's as good as you could want for in a season, but will it be enough against this opposition?
Well, St. Clair kind of set the bar extremely high, probably the highest we've seen so far in College COD. I've not seen a team go undefeated in every single mode, an overall record so far across all the conferences here in College COD. So St. Clair have set what seems to be an astonishing point of contact and a record that maybe could be matched in the higher portions and the upper echelons of the rankings, but still, look at the sample sizes there. This has been 3 months of Call of Duty and St. Clair have not missed a beat for any portion of the regular season throughout the structural read change. This really is something to behold.
Yeah, literally flawless is the perfect word for it. They are the definition of perfection at this current moment. But Akron, you just look at that. They have only dropped 6 maps in total. That is phenomenal, to say the least. Or actually 5. I miscounted there. Shows how my counting skills are like. But, a nigh on flawless record versus a flawless record. It shows that we have 2 top teams who are going to be facing up against each other. But these teams have already faced against each other before. And it wasn't pretty, to say the least. And we will have those stats for you to show you what this was like when these teams faced up against each other the last time. But Akron are really going to have to pull it together against this side if they want to pull through.
Well, let's look today at this best of 7. It really isn't a diverse one. It's your absolute stick it together, best maps we can find and hope for the best. It's going to be Skyline Hardpoint to open it up, then followed by back-to-back controls. A Vault Hardpoint again will be there, potentially a decider, but if we were to see maps 5, 6, and 7, it's 2 more vaults, and then back to Skyline to close it out in a search and destroy. When you look at the vetoes as well, Hacienda Hardpoint out of the picture by Akron, and that's again quite a key connotation when we float back to their previous head-to-head when they faced off in regular season. That right there is a change and adjustment that the coaching staff at Akron needed to get in there as soon as possible. Their prior history is not too great against St. Clair on this mode and that map combination, but one commonality that really hasn't changed again is just the absence of red card. It really has not been floated in so much here in the playoffs, and we can understand why. When it comes to Conference Championship, that map across pro play and top challengers just seems to be a bit of a sticky one.
Yeah, red card was one of those maps that it seemed to be very much a not favorite to begin with, and then as the season progressed, we started to see it trickle in. We started seeing teams beginning to understand the bright side of the map, but then ultimately falling back on the old faithfuls, right? Are we ever not going to see a vault prop up in a series? It's just one of those maps where, again, you have to be perfect on it. It's a map that sort of encompasses all areas of Call of Duty across the respawns, and then of course Search and Destroy, very different, although probably not going to be with us that much longer. And yeah, it's just one of those maps, one of those series, when you look at the layout, that is just going to be very same old, very by the book, except for those protocols, which are going to be the outliers. And the fact that we will get those outliers early could turn this series on its head. And if you're at the side of Akron and you're looking at how to beat this opposition, you're going to be looking to take a couple of early maps to try and set yourselves on the right foot going forward, because as we've seen in the previous record, they did not have a good performance against the Saints when it came to that vault map. So going into a triple, they want to make sure that they won't have to play through all 3 of them.
And we go, of course, to the opener in Skyline Hardpoint. To mention, St. Clair currently 3-0 on this map. Akron haven't even played it yet at this point in the season. And already, St. Clair open up proceedings, 2 clean kills, time on the board, and splitting the spawns of Akron, making it more dicey as we get into the thick of it.
Yeah, already as we begin, there's flawless on the time. They're setting up well, keeping them pushed back. Akron trying to find a way in, but finding themselves on the back foot. Granted, they have those P2 spawns, but they're going to mean very little to begin with if they cannot break through that P1. And with this map, it's so tight as well. Even if you hold spawns, you could find them gone in the blink of an eye. So resting your laurels on a key spawn point is not going to get you through this map. But as they pick up nearly a nice wave of kills to get through, they stop the clock. They're able to get on the point themselves to start racking up some time. But St. Clair Saints already off to a great start on that P1.
And now I know at home you might recognize some players here in the lobby for St. Clair Saints. Rooper and Cootie, of course, challengers regulars, former teammates with the great Snoopy. This again is no real means to an end for St. Clair. They've picked up some serious firepower for the installment of this year and retained it from last year as well. You look at the score so far, 37 and 16. St. Clair are installing a setup now on this foreboding hill. They've got Rooper again to try and keep the stalled Wads as blocker, and again they assume defensive positions to ensure they got this time because Akron have got a big hole to punch and they're going to go to the north side of the map.
Yeah, Akron are already running the risk of momentum running against them here. We've seen on this map before how quickly you can find hills chained against you if you can't get control of those kills and be able to slay out. And St. Clair Saints are very confident in the way that they're playing at the moment, but you have to give credit to Akron. That was a good break going through. They just need to set themselves up right going into this P3 and get rotated through and not completely rely on all of this scrap time. They need to start getting more kills on the board and start asserting some map dominance.
Well, that right there is a wonderful way to answer the critics. St. Clair secure scrap time. 3 players already rotated towards the new hill, and Akron have got good lines of sight to pinch them off. However, look at their actual spread. They've gone to the north side of the map here to try and ensure a split spawn for St. Clair because they realise the biggest win condition for them is to stall the pressure of St. Clair. The gunfights and the gun skill this team possesses is at a different level, and Akron's strategy early on is to try and cut the map in the middle, and Bowie at least having a good look on the hill. However, St. Clair reinforce it. 4 players stacked around, 1 on the rotation, and 97 to 31. Looking at another strong hill here where the money is made.
Yeah, and this is be really worrying for Akron at the moment because St. Clair Saints are just playing in such a manner where they do not seem to be worried about the spawns and the slices. They are more than happy to push out from front in these instances, and maybe Akron can pull some time back on P4 if they get rotated in and make sure not to get caught out. As you can see in your map, St. Clair Saints getting rotated through P1 onto P4, meaning they could get a strong hold from front, potentially box Akron in towards the back and get on that time. As you do see MD just trying to hold on to the back, picking up a couple of kills and actually doing a good job of keeping St. Clair's off the point. But again, they don't have any real control until now. They're just spawning up, they're getting onto the point, and they need to get a strong wave of kills here to try and pull themselves back into this one.
Akron have created a wonderful setup here on the new hill. However, it's a very aggressive line. No one really beyond the glass doors to block the spawn. They're relying a lot here on retaining lives, and that's why MZ now has to wrap back around to ensure St. Clair's break attempt is going to be met with more pressure from Akron. However, it's a wonderful opener. Wads has completely decimated the back line. Thieves is now just here in the front to try and get a few extra consolations, but it's enough. It leaves the hill white. St. Clair got 16 seconds left, and that rotation to new will be Akron's. Now can they force players out of this position and try and get what could be more control on the map?
Yeah, and what St. Clair Saints are doing at this moment in time as well is when they get a 2 down or a 3 down, they're always getting them in positions that's really making a count in the time. But the amount of times we've seen Akron have these moments where they've gotten 2 or 3 and just haven't been able to make the most of it because there's always a player left up on the side of the Saints just making life difficult, making sure that they can't get as much time as they'd want on these points. But it has to be said, Akron are doing a good job now of getting onto the scrap time, getting just enough to keep themselves in it and keep this game interesting because, again, we've talked about it, this map can very quickly run away from you if you can't keep yourself just ticking along. And as Bio actually getting a killing spree of 5, they're showing that they're warming up and that they're having moments here to where they can prove to be a danger, but they're going to need to step up just another gear if they want to catch up.
Well, they've made or mounted a wonderful effort here in the final stages, Akron. Still a large gap, though. Looking at around 64 points between the two teams. And they've got a beautiful 3 kills in the feed to try and get a crucial 11 seconds now. The 1v1 for New is won by Rupert Skywalker. But boy, has he found a way in. Akron will touch time first. They're just about getting in position here to limit the last few players from St. Clair straggling through. And although it's a very tough call, they found all the players. They've got seconds here to play with. and St. Clair have to push through Piano to try and punch a hole. The trades, though, are just about stalling this long enough for Akron to reinforce in the hill.
Yeah, Akron are having a great comeback here, and Boyo with 8th streak as well. Hellstorm in the back pocket, ready to use speed, picking up a couple of kills there, making that 3 now of Boyo, clearing out. Only 1 player left up, but he is dropped very quickly, and this has been a phenomenal hold. A great few hills here. Pull themselves right back into this one. They are in the driver's seat. They have the momentum. 1 minute in hill as well for Bio, so really doing everything you would want from a player here at the moment. Slaying out and making it count on the time, but with KB with the double, they'll now be looking to push through this kitchen side and maybe at least get some control to lock down this P3. St. Clair Saints will be looking to get one more stronghold here, which you would think with their form would get them over the finish line, unless Akron can answer back and continue to hold the form that they've had for the last 2 points.
KB here is going for a very aggressive route. Akron, of course, have stacked themselves upstairs, ready to drop down into Gym and take the hill this way. However, because of their awkward team positioning, again, the spawns aren't going to be consistent. They're going to be spawning 1 of the 4 quadrants, and St. Clair have got enough pressure to cover all 4 and rotate. They just need the information call.
Was on a merciless there before getting taken out. What a run that he went on to get his team back into this one, but as St. Clair Saints continue to look to lock this one down. As soon as they get onto a point first, they seem lethal on it, as this P3 is all theirs. They will very much be looking to get over the 200 point mark here as we get rotated over towards P4, where Akron realize they are going to have to lock that down and hold it well, or else this game is all but done. They've put up a terrific fight here, but again, you talk about the slaying power across the board. You can see what 22 and 12 with 2 minutes on the hill. You just have more players that are popping off more consistently. Those numbers are slightly higher when it comes to that KD ratio, and on a map like Skyline, that is what's going to count for you massively.
Well, St. Clair, I mean, look at Wads' numbers right here. 23 and 13, 2 minutes, 8 seconds in the hill, and St. Clair are just one perfect hold away from converting the first map. Akron are in probably the diciest position so far in the end game. They've got no real avenue into the back spawn. They're relying a lot here on Thieves again to pull his heroics, similar to the last set and rotation, but simply put, the players are hiding from St. Clair. The trophies are causing way too much of a disturbance, and all the stun checks and information, it really is a difficult dice.
Yeah, there's no real route in here at the moment. The Saints are holding on. 15 points left to go. They could win it right here, right now on this map one, as Akron will go for that final push, but they're nowhere to be seen as you have KB pushing out with the 3-piece to lock this one down. It is surely going to be done here. A 101 point victory for St. Clair Saints, taking that map number 1 in what was ultimately a pretty dominant fashion despite a mid-round comeback.
And St. Clair's undefeated hardpoint streak continues, Zep. I think that's probably one of the bigger takeaways here from this one. And when you see how they've actually adjusted from what was, again, a system from the regular season to now, where they kept the record, how they're going to change it up for playoffs. Well, if you actually look at their system in general, it was a quiet map for Kuti from the very beginning. But the way Wads and Rupa combined throughout a lot of the controlling aspects of the Skyline, it was clear to see again that Wads really was the most important person on this St. Clair roster for this moment in time. They just kept them alive at all costs. The trades were only really a difficult point when it got to around the final set of the P2 right there. You could only really see that's where the lead was about to change for Akron. They held on to scrap time and rotated over, but St. Clair had the initial hold, and that's where the escalation and the money hills and what they were trying to prioritize in their system really came into effect. But if you look at the actual spread here, St. Clair gained a lead. Akron started to hit form. Woz couldn't really find his way over to the hill, and it really sort of showcases again where we nearly saw the lead change hands just at once. However, St. Clair held on to it for the entirety of every installment in Skyline. And when you actually sort of float back to their previous matchup, it was a 3-0 against St. Clair Saints, and Akron made a massive improvement in the hard point so far. When you actually look at what happened last time, I believe, yeah, St. Clair and Akron, it played in a Hacienda, and it was a 250-20. That's not a typo, it's an actual scoreline. Akron scored 20 points, and that's why Hacienda is not in today's best of 7. It was clearly just, you know, a horror veto from everyone involved in the Akron club, and they've gotten rid of it just to make sure, again, that nothing like that could really come into affect the team's morale. But still, when it comes to what we can expect going forward, the Skyline hardpoint, a tail already, and Akron had no reps on this map, so a loss was more than likely to be expected. Protocol, S&D, both teams are currently undefeated on this map, so that at least gives a good sign of information and Akron an avenue back into this series.
Yeah, Akron can come away from that game one feeling very, very positive because, as you said, they hadn't played the map before, came out with a really strong performance, have definitely improved their hardpoint game as a whole. Again, it's just a testament to Skyline Hardpoint where it all comes down to momentum. You saw Akron being able to garner momentum in a couple of hills, be able to rotate first and hold well. And when it came to a point after that last P2 where St. Clair Saints said, we're going to reset, we're going to play for P3, lock that down, and then they could play for the position of power on the points. It was all said and done from there as they created some new momentum of their own. But going into a map 2, as I said, Protocol, Search and Destroy, both undefeated here at this current moment in time. That will change. But now the playing field is leveled out a little bit more. And again, we could just argue that in terms of momentum, Akron should not have been able to keep into that one as well as they did. So the ball's in their court really at this point. And again, we see those triple vaults coming up. That is going to be something that would scare the likes of Akron, given how they performed on the 2 vaults that you had just seen on your screen. So they're going to want to be picking up some maps here in this Protocol. They will not have a choice. They'll want to win the Search and Destroy. They'll want to win this Control to at the very least give themselves a chance of maybe getting back to the Skyline Search and Destroy at the very end. But Akron are going to be coming from a position where they're playing the long game in this one. St. Clair Saints are going to very much just want to keep pushing forward, keep being flawless, and just try and break their opposition down and make it a very quick 4-0 if they can.
And this really is sort of the key theme here as well. St. Clair are just glittered with undefeated records across all the maps and modes in every single instance we can see. And also as well, a live update, we just saw our wonderful director put in a new scoreline for the Skyline Hardpoint, 4-0 for St. Clair, an overall record, and 0-1 for Akron. Yeah, that's already just starting to sting a little bit for Akron in what really needs to be a map where they have to inject serious venom into St. Clair. And Protocol S&D, like you mentioned, Zep, a lot of range of motion, tactically speaking, seems like one of the more intuitive maps where the ARs can actually play really fast and be effective. But at the same token, the helicopter control pad that you see right here in this fly-through seems to be the bane of every single submachine gun's existence. They can't hit a flank and have to go underground every single time. But now on the opener, set nades go through, no one tags information, and St. Clair already covered a mid, get a player on turret, and it's a simple trade to make it a 3v3.
Yeah, good to see the trades come in there, making sure to answer back quickly. And you're absolutely right. I mean, those ARs can just sit up in positions in this map to nullify the subs, to whereas we're seeing Kuta here in the underground. Subs are just kind of in a position where they have to resort to playing through this underground, as it's the only means through the map where they can go either uncontested or at least be able to take on a fight that's a little more within their own range. But so far, a little bit of a standstill here in this round one as they're both trying to feel each other out. Going to be a tense, long affair, this, as Akron need to try and get themselves pushed a little bit more forward to get this bomb, but KB with a good pick now gives Saints the advantage.
Oh, Bowie, that was a riskiest gunfight to take. Bomb's now fully in control of St. Clair, and MZ has to hit a route, but every single door is closed from St. Clair, meaning that he's giving away his own position. And that's going a long way around, but this is just punishing. 1v3, they're going to hit a tripwire. MZ just about gets the kill, but look at the time. 15 seconds left. St. Clair reinforced the bomb, send another player up to take up position, and it's just a very, very awkward head glitch to take the gunfight on. St. Clair open it up. Despite the trade in mid, a 3v3, they reinforced the areas, and Akron got really aggressive with the bomb carrier. Dropped it down, an instant 1v3. Very much one to look back on and really changed the approach to this map.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're getting aggressive with that bomb, you are just asking for trouble. You have to give credit to the side of the Saints, though. They played it well. As you said, they bunched up together. They played that clock, made sure to run it down, force Akron to come to them, and ultimately were able to make light work of them in the end up. Now, Akron, they're going to need a good defense of their own. If St. Clair's can get pushed up quickly and aggressively, that's going to be momentum that Akron will struggle to counter.
And it's an aggressive strat for St. Clair. All four hit the elevator shaft, smashed their way onto the site. They're absorbing every single nade and stun thrown from Akron. But you look at the trades, they have map position and control. And Akron spent most of their utility belt trying to get the position for their own from the better side. But St. Clair's abrasive strategy to send everyone here has only really costed them a player. And it's a 3v3 with full site control. Now it's about defending the bomb planter and making this an awkward situation.
I mean, The Saints struggling so far. Thieves going in with the defuse. Can Seawads do something? He can't. Getting dropped by Bio, and Akron doing a great job of getting in, answering back. And that first blood after the 3v3 scenario was huge, making sure to get that kill quickly just to poke holes in the armor, because you know, locking down the underground site, that if you have even numbers and you're just holding down those lanes, it can be good night, Irene, when it comes to getting in and trying to get that defuse. But getting in with that early pick, meaning they could open things up, get in, get mixy, and then ultimately play the trades from there. Fantastic break from Akron.
Absolutely. Completely in agreement of what Akron did in that situation when they lost control of the site. I mean, St. Clair again had to time the bomb plant to perfection. They knew Akron had the pressure on the outside. It can send it in at any minute and instantly lose players. That's what happened. They just timed it beautifully, and the guns were up at all costs. Round number 3. This time Akron stall the push down towards the elevator shaft. They have a trophy again to stop any utility coming in their way, and they can just shoulder this comfortably. But look at Wads doing all the work, not getting a single kill, just about. Oh. The pistol nearly gets free, but 2's enough. Now it's an instant 1v3, and that risky strategy for Akron just did not pay off in the end. Listen, if you can't reload, always switch to your sidearm.
Yeah, rule 1 just coming into play right there as MCs. Gonna need to try and get a pick. Not going to happen here. Surely gets taken out on the round ends, but that is just the punishment of going down to that A site as the aggressor. If you're going to do it, you need to do it quick. You can't be going at 95%. It's got to be 100. You got to get into that site. You got to take the risk of being aggressive, because if you get caught just at the bottom of that elevator, not really being able to get in, then you're just there for the pickings, as we seen with that pistol just ripping through over half the team. I mean, you just do not want to be in a position where that's happening to you.
It's rough for St. Clair, but only if you haven't got certain players like Seawads on your team. I mean, Akron really had an interesting approach. They copied what St. Clair did. And this time around, round number 4, St. Clair aren't really going to change what's cooking for them. The difference, though, again, is that Akron are really proactive in putting these trophies down. They send the player down this time, not really to commit, because Seawads gets that first blood drawn on the north side of the map, and it now forces Thieves to leave position, leaving MZ overloaded here in the middle of the map. And St. Clair, they get the numbers established, and then they just consume Akron in one fell swoop.
I absolutely loved what St. Clair's have just done there. They pushed A nearly exactly the same as sort of a bait and switch play, but then instantly went back up and moved towards B. But again, Akron doing a great job here of sort of pushing St. Clair Saints back once they're in trouble, but now a 1v2, all up to MZ with the break. But this has been a fantastic effort so far, but this is a huge gunfight coming up.
Now, St. Clair, of course, has to put KB in the middle of the map to watch the rotation. MZ's position has been identified, though, from the very start. Not going to send 2 barrels to this kill. It's an easy one just for the remaining player on St. Clair near helicopter to convert. And it's just simply gorgeous. Not much more you can ask for KB. It's just a tidy finish, and that's just how we're seeing St. Clair string out these rounds. Every single round so far that's gone their way, even the one that hasn't, they've always maintained that first blood win percent and had the man advantaged, and then just escalated it into always a 1vx against Akron. Always a 1vx, because they're really spreading out at the worst time possible, right at the start, and they're losing the island player gunfight wins. They haven't really got any so far. So now we open up this round. They go more towards the north side of the map. But MZ's floating now towards turret, and look at this push through the middle. St. Clair aren't expecting this.
Oh, they absolutely aren't. This push is going to be damning, but Bao is picking up 1. Cody trying to answer back, but now the trade's coming in a 3v2 scenario. Make that 2v2. This round is, again, continue to be aggressive, which is one thing that surprised me on this protocol search and destroy. It has been very aggressive from both teams in every play they've been making.
And look at how much it's slowed now for St. Clair in his position. In Akron again. And Boyo. Not sure what's happening here, Zep, if he's actually just having some... Yeah, no, never mind. It's just my eyes deceiving me here in this instance. But what more could we ask for with what has been a very strong Akron round?
Yeah, absolutely not. And again, it's kind of... I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
A little bit of a jitteriness on the side. Hopefully this is just an issue that is on our
there we
end
go.
and not
There
on the
we
end
go.
of the players.
They're
Back
moving,
to normal.
They're moving.
About time. You know, when you see that happen, your heart starts to sink. Is a lobby crash inevitable? But they're still here, still fighting. in this round number 5 in a 2v1. Seawad's going to be trying to get in for the break as Akron have a chance to pull an offensive round of their own back. This is a massive moment for them.
And it's a very punishing 2v1 setup here. A post plant where Bowie's tasked with watching stairs. Wads has to take the open exit, but opts for elevator instead. Now this drop again. It's going to be hard to read because they've really committed here. The first 2 bullets, though, yeah, that's where the plan goes to. What? Okay, 1v1. Needs to push for the gunfight here. 11 seconds left. Wins it. And he can stick it comfortably. That was unexpected, but with the highest performance from the last map, and immediately the catalyst carrying the bomb for St. Clair, what more could you ask for? A simple 1v2, and what were Akron doing? They weren't even looking.
Yeah, I mean, Akron definitely didn't play that one right in the end up, but you still have to give so much credit for the break coming in here. I mean, on both players, barely missed a bullet. I don't think even missed a bullet at all. Just pinpoint precision and accuracy, and that's what you need from a star player coming in for a break on a key point. And there's such a difference between 3-2 and 4-1, and you talk about a momentum switch. That is huge for the Saints, but unfortunately what we were seeing before on the side of server issues may actually still be the case for the players, as the host deciding to end the game there. I presume that's why the host decided to end the game. Of course, we'll hopefully be getting back into that one as soon as we possibly can. But as I was just saying before that one ended, I think that was a huge swing round that we just saw.
It was, and I feel like most of St. Clair in this instance are really thanking the performance today for Seawads. Really a standout for me. And you've got 2 Challengers players on this roster in Rupa and Kuti who have done everything possible with some of the best players in the world and more or less are deemed your star players. They're allowing this guy to shine through. And what a grandstand moment for Seawads here in the Conference Championship Grand Final. But I feel like, again, when we see Akron in a lot of these opening rounds, the strategies are really similar to St. Clair, and there's nothing wrong from a tactical point of view. What they're trying to do on the map is just unfortunate where most of these gunfights and most of these 1v8 situations always seem to stem from the island player getting obliterated in the worst way possible. But you look at the series so far, to recap for everyone at home, it's currently 1-0 St. Clair. They won the Skyline Hardpoint by 101 points. We're now in the Protocol Search and Destroy, awaiting a restart from either 4-1 or 3-1. I think those are the two givens.
And we actually just got it confirmed that it is going to be a 4-1 restart. So St. Clair Saints will be happy with that one. Akron, will they feel hard done by? It doesn't matter. They got to continue. They got to play on from this point, try and orchestrate the comeback. And, you know, it has to be said for the way that Akron are playing. They're a team that is showing fight. There's been many rounds where they have been a man down and looking down and out, and granted they may have lost the rounds, but they've put up a hell of a fight and made it interesting in positions where you would have thought St. Clair Saints would have been able to round those particular rounds off with ease. And I think they do have an opportunity to pull something from this series, but they are just running out of time to do so. Again, everything that they have to do, it's clearly already proving that it's going to have to be more of a fight for them, right? If they're going to win this one, they have to play out of their skin. They're going up against players who I just think on their day are slightly better than they are, with all due respect to them, and it has to be a case of them rising to another level at this point. Whereas the Saints, if they can just keep moving, keep the gears turning, play how they know they can play. I mean, you already listed some of the names already. These are top tier players, and so to go in and beat these top tier players, you got to be playing like it's just the best COD of your life, and then a little more. And not only can you be playing that, but your whole team has to be as well. You have to hit that different wavelength. You have to be able to do it together. You have to be able to stifle the momentum of your opposition. And as I said, with the fight and bite that they're showing, there's been moments where they can do it, but moments won't get you all the way. They need to establish a little bit of consistency, because they can go back and forth, as we've seen in the hard point, you know, taking a couple of good hills on the search and destroy, nearly taking a couple of rounds, but they need to put themselves in a position in any map situation where it's the equivalent of getting 2-3 S&D rounds in a row, looking dominant, looking confident, looking like the team that is in control, and forcing the St. Clair Saints into a position where they're the ones that have to provide the answers to the questions. Because so far it is all Akron answering back well to what St. Clair Saints are doing, but unfortunately for them, just not well enough to see them through with any map points.
I know, and we actually look at the overall stats. This restart will be at 4-1. St. Clair opening up on the attacking side, and this is a round to see who captures momentum. Already trading the north side, and no one has control. However, St. Clair do have control of bunker. Akron then set themselves on the outside. The crucial gunfight for KB to win, to reinstall a man advantage, and the overload for everyone to drop down from Akron makes it a really tough call. The timing for Boyo really needs to be won, and it's just not going to be the close we want to see, Zap. We saw the positions for the players, but St. Clair, this man advantage allows the extra man to create this pressure on the outside, forcing panic in Akron. Now it's going to be 5-1. They are one round away from making it 2-0 in the series.
Yeah, I mean, Akron, they're just having situations where it's so close yet so far. Again, we're seeing positions where they're a man down, but they get it traded, and then they win gunfights that you don't think they're going to win, and they pull it back into positions where it's 3v3s, 2v2s, but just never enough. And St. Clair Saints, they can taste the finish line now in regards to this map. Just continuing to do what they do best. It'll be Akron on an offense, and I'm sure they're going to be scratching their heads here as to how to play this one. It's going to be sort of a 2-2 split to try and get up the mid, but already looking like they're going to get picked apart by none other than Seawads, who picks up that first blood. And Akron are in huge trouble here, down in a 4v2.
We're making a 3v2, but only tentative. Akron, though, have got the Lorraine 2 players here in one quadrant of the map, and St. Clair have got coverage across every single exit. Yeah, that's what happens. Their players shooting from castle, underneath bunker, and Akron had no time to look to clear any angles in such a wide open space. A 6-1 in the S&D, and a very, very punishing showing here from St. Clair Saints. They want the conference championship under their belt. Our Canadian representatives here in the CCL. are doing a wonderful showing so far.
Yeah, it's looking for them like now. St. Clair Saints, they've rolled the sleeves up. I mean, those last 2 rounds were an absolute statement, right? They rolled the sleeves up, they got the job done. I mean, can anyone time it? I mean, that must be one of the quickest game ends after a restart that we have seen so far in this season, because that, I feel like we were back in that one at 2 minutes and the game was already finished. But I mean, as you can see on your screen here, St. Clair Saints picking up numerous amount of first bloods, which, you know, it just shows the level that they were at, really. And Akron, even in a few rounds where they were able to pick up a couple, they weren't able to make the most of it. And again, St. Clair Saints, the type of side where you give them any sort of advantage, they're going to take it in full force.
And bear in mind, Seawads was the bomb carrier for St. Clair, and it goes to show that most of the rounds did in fact end with every single player being eliminated on Akron's side. And while I got a moment here as well, I actually want to give a small thank you and at least a nice little shout out to our tournament partner, Scuff Gaming. And they have been here since the very start. They're supporting College Card in many ways that we could only imagine, and they are simply the best. To play at the best, you have to play with the best. Scuff, the exclusive controller partner of College Card Zap.
Yeah, I mean, just absolutely fantastic controller. I mean, I literally have sitting to my right as we speak my Scuff Envision Pro, and I would not be half the player that I am without it. You know, I just absolutely pop off of that thing. I've got a 240 hertz monitor, absolutely banging controller, and of course I still, you know, get absolutely wrecked by people playing on a PlayStation 4 at 60 frames per second, but we won't go into that. But I would be doing even worse without that Scuff Envision Pro. It's fantastic controllers, fantastic brand as well, showing the support to CCL, the players, the staff, everyone involved. Needed for the scene, so thank you very much to them for showing their support.
We'll be very back in a short moment for everyone. Go for a very short break. We'll see you very soon. Up next, another control, and this time around we see Akron inject themselves back into the series. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, to College Cards. Yes, we are returning to what has been an intense series so far in our conference championship final. St. Clair Saints versus Akron Zips. We have already seen pretty much the most dominant form of St. Clair so far. Currently 2-0 up and haven't lost a single map thus far in the overall split of College Card. A 250-149 Skyline Hardpoint, followed by a 6-1 in the Protocol. We stick on the Protocol for a control this time around, and already, Zep, it's set to be one of the more intense head-to-heads, with both teams being undefeated in this map mode combination.
Yeah, both teams undefeated, but again, if you haven't been tuned in until now, the scoreline tells the story. The only story that you really need to see from this one, it is just a case of, you may look at Akron, it's greatness, 13-1, phenomenal team, but it's just a case of greatness versus perfection. I mean, the Saints are just absolutely dominant in all facets, and we've seen the way they've rolled up their sleeves at the end of that protocol search and destroys and made that map their own. I have a feeling they finally found their groove, their momentum, and what was granted still a dominant performance in that hard point, but was a little bit of them not being fully at their best alongside Akron being able to show that they can put up a fight. But I mean, we've seen so many horror stories when it comes to the spawn traps that you can find yourselves in a protocol control, and the Saints are a team that know how to set themselves up well. So as they go in here, they'll be fighting to make sure they don't get spawn trapped in the back this time around. But if they can get these points captured quick and show a strong offense, it's going to be a long, or potentially short evening, actually, I should say, for the side of Akron.
Already St. Clair are down 2 lives, but they are starting to float towards the objectives. Now, Akron here have got the awkward split where they're going to be constantly stuck in a 3v2 or a 4v3 because St. Clair have set the spawn timer. Now, this is going to be what seems to be a very, very interesting path for Akron. Spawn on the northeast side of the map. They're going to have to now try and aggress down to A, where St. Clair have already bunkered up and are trying to get some progress.
Yeah, great couple of kills there from Akron, though, just making sure to keep St. Clair pushed back, because again, they've already shown moments where they look dangerous and they're able to answer back to sort of that initial 3 down or 2 down, I believe it was, that they found themselves in. But Thieves on an actual 6 spree there before eventually getting taken out, and Akron just trying to make their way into the back spawn and sort of decimate those lives as much as possible. They know that is key for them. They need to keep this opposition subdued. They cannot let them find any rhythm and momentum in this map. If they can get these rounds done quickly, get those lives drains, not let them find their footing, then they could find themselves in a position where they can maybe sneak this map. But for now, they are doing a good job. 22 seconds left to go. 17 versus 20 though. KB with the double. They can now progress onto this A, which, as you can see on your map, they have complete control of this A side. A double stack with Seawads pushing out around the back, or holding that top position now at least. Complete control of this A side. They surely lock it down from here, and they'll be able to work on the speed.
And it's just a really tough opener. Cootie's held his life so well to get this point converted, and Akron now have to play it off of the alternative strategy. A new play call where we have to see now enforcements towards the north side of the map, and it's basically all down to Cootie and Bowie in the opening 1v1, where it just really puts Akron in a blender. They are now locked in for the spawn. Cootie can hold his line, try and just absorb some of the pressure so the team can start stacking the hill, and there isn't really much more we can commentate on. St. Clair already near the end. One last real hit from Akron, and it's going to be completely offset timing. The remaining player from Akron couldn't get to the hill. St. Clair, with 2 players up, get this one converted, and what an opening attacking round, Zep. It was just lights out from Cootie.
Yeah, I mean, just demolition, dismantlement, domination. How many Ds do you want to describe that? Because that was just absolute perfection on the offense. A little bit of a shaky start, or a little bit of a slow start, shall we say, but they were just waiting for the moment, finding their footing, getting the right kills at the right time, being in the right places, then push forward, dominate the points, and then be able to orchestrate the spawns to perfection. They had the spawns read to a T each and every time, so they could instantly lock Akron in the back and make short work of them. And I mean, Cootie was just absolutely popping off. He's playing his life and pushing through the back, and I mean, just constantly jiggling, making life awkward for the opposition, and he continues to pop off here, picking up another 2 to begin the round, but Seawad's getting another. Akron already in danger of the spawn trap.
And St. Clair really punishing this one as well. Although Akron have got the overload now to break out the spawn trap, Reaper has not been tagged at all. So he's going to be the lurker for St. Clair. While the remaining players just fight off the reinforcements and just hope again that the St. Clair Saints can install another spawn trap, because their set play is oriented around getting the lives to a 10 gap.
In 25 versus 23 now. You have to give credit to Akron, to be fair, for getting out. And now this is a position where Bowie could maybe do some damage. I mean, getting in around the back, but does he have the reads, the knowing of where people are? Because you can very much just be stranded in that back spawn and not really be assisting your team if, you know, the rest of your team aren't picking up the kills and you don't have the reads of where people actually are. But MZ with a good 2. However, Seawad's kind of answering back, and Akron, credit to them, have gotten pushed up onto these points, but it is just a case of now they're in a position where they kind of have to win an offensive round, right? So whatever about them, what they might be able to do at A, we all know that that B site is going to be the danger site, and if they can't get themselves anywhere near that one, then it could be game, set, and match. And as KB has actually found themselves, or I believe it was Seawads, my apologies, on a killing spree now of 6, has found himself in the spawn in the perfect position, making that 7 now, just having the time of his life, whittling down the lives, and only 10 seconds left to go. Akron have now found themselves in a position where they will have no time to get to any one of these points.
Oh, Seawads just playing the last clip in his mag to get the final kill, and St. Clair are currently 2-0 up in the control. And to break it down from a macro perspective, it was actually really good from Akron to see them group together as a unit and break out of many dangerous traps planted by St. Clair, and even installing what could be their own variation of a very, very tough defensive spawn trap. But what we did see that was so good from St. Clair in this position, Zep, was their ability again to allow Kuti to play these close quarter combat areas and create an arena where Akron are just going to filter in and slowly lose their lives. And even though the spawn trap happened for a brief moment, it doesn't really seem to be that much of a defining factor so far between these two teams. Most of the win conditions are usually found in the middle of the map.
Yeah, they don't even have to rely on the spawn trap. You're absolutely right. I mean, St. Clair's, they just play in a certain way where they're so in tune as a team and what they need to do, not just for themselves, but for also for the others on their side, to prop them up, as you say, you know, playing in the positions which allows Kuti to thrive in those positions. And we've seen Seawads playing in a position where he could thrive. They all know how to back each other up and get the best out of each other. When you can play in that team scenario where you're not just playing your best game, but allowing your teammates to play their best game as well, that just takes you to a whole nother level. And St. Clair Saints, they are just the epitome of that at the moment, where they can just orchestrate a map in such a way where they're giving themselves complete control in all aspects. And even though it's not that direct, push as far back into spawn as you can, make the rounds go as quickly as possible, it's just a case of getting the job done and being in that position on the opposition side, of the side of Akron, just knowing that you have no real way out to be able to gain any sort of advantage.
But it's a really awkward split in terms of where the players are positioning themselves for St. Clair. Akron actually have a better footing in terms of where the sub should be, preferably really aggressive on the map. And St. Clair are just sending the ARs anywhere and everywhere to be in a huge gunfight. Where now I think we do see Akron hold what has been the first real instance of a mistake from St. Clair. This 10 life disparity is absolutely insane. No points through from St. Clair so far, and Wads is really being left on an island here with a lot of trust. Look at the actual arrows and the positioning. It's really easy to offset the timing now from the north side of the map, but Akron are flooding through the middle, so they can drop down and really collapse here onto St. Clair. But look at the distractions being planted. Seawads can hold this only for a brief moment, and then you actually see what can the remaining players do from this spot. At 8-16, they convert a 4-point. It makes it a lot more enticing, but they're just, again, shuffling the board here, Zep. A to B.
Yeah, just stretching the opposition, exactly what you need to do, and you have to give so much credit to Seawads for staying alive as long as he did at B, giving his teammates the time to get to A, get that captain. Now it's 6-13. Look, 2 ticks left to go on B. It's a tough task to ask them to be able to do, but I mean, if there's any side that's going to be able to pull this one through, it would be them. But as we said, you know, it was a bit of a mistake for them this round. They were 10 kills down at one point, and that's just what happens when you take your foot off the gas pedal even just a little bit when you're playing at this level against teams such as Akron, who have proven that they have the fight even in the best of St. Clair's moments. You give them an inch, they're going to try and take a mile, which they seem to have done with this round. Of course, would ideally need to chain a couple of more rounds together and a couple of maps together, which is going to be a huge ask for them at this point. But I mean, you got to start somewhere, and taking this round here might be the first step into coming back into this series.
A very beautiful round from Akron here in number 3. And they actually installed what was a very punishing trap for St. Clair that they really couldn't get out of. They just couldn't find the right player in the right moment, in the right position to deal with all this pressure. They just realized, again, maybe if we're spreading out too much in these instances, we as Akron Zip should just bunk her up together, because that is where we have the overload, and that is where St. Clair can't handle it. And now, at least in this instance, St. Clair will be defending. They are 1 round away from making it 3-0 in the series. And Akron Zips have to have a very promising attacking round and a great opener to stand a chance.
Yeah, they just got to keep doing what they did in that last round, right? They found something that works. They can't really afford to deviate and try something different. They just got to hope it can continue working for them and they can get a bit of a read in the map and know where people are going to be, because you have players on the side of the Saints who can get constantly in awkward positions. We've seen it from Seawads and Kuti, who can just constantly get themselves in these types of power positions, right, where you know where the player is going to be, but they always just have that a little bit of an advantage. And if they just have that, you know, that are feeling themselves a little more, have that better gun skill in the moment, then you know that they're always going to come out on top. And even getting these reads where they're just not chasing down the kills, they're just playing patient, and they're just able to snuff the opposition out without having to rush it. Again, it just shows the damage that they can do when they get to play in the positions that they feel most comfortable in playing.
Oh, KB, really making sure the focus for Akron is to flood the north side of the map so that he can get the AR out and just take them all down. But look at the readjustment now for Akron. They flood the north side. St. Clair have the cutoffs ready, and there's going to be plenty of exit kills to collect. One slipping through the net, that's going to be Thieves. But really, St. Clair done all the hard work in this instance. Not just a life disparity here. KB has to play this nearly to a point of a stall where Wads can clear the kills if he were to die. Done that perfectly. And just adding more kills to the tally. Wads is on a 5 spree to really make sure this round is tucked away to bed. Nearly on for the Hellstorm as well, Zeb.
Yeah, I mean, talk about, again, we're seeing from them exactly what we've seen at the end of the Protocol Search and Destroy here, is they take this map 3 to go 3-0 up. They just roll up their sleeves when it comes to the end, right? Yes, they may drop a round in the Search and Destroy. They may drop a round in the Control. You know, they took their foot off the gas pedal just a little bit. But when they decide, right, it's time to get the job done, they just seem to be a whole different beast. And you can't even say that, you know, they made it look easy, because they're just doing everything right. They're doing everything they have to do and doing it well. And it's just a testament to their ability, especially when you consider, again, how good this Akron side is coming into this one and their record leading up to this point. The fact that they were also flawless on this map, the fact that they were able to box them in the way that they did, it's just a testament to their level and what they're bringing to the table today.
Yeah, they're bringing a lot of force, and they're also allowing the star players to sit back to allow some more room for particularly Seawads. I mean, it really is interesting just how this team is set up, but also just how they allow certain people that they know can do a really good job in a certain position and or system to thrive. And Rupert and Kuti have turned up in moments where we needed them to, especially Kuti in that final round of the Control and round number 2, where he was just being the nuisance and just taking away lives from the board for Akron. That side of Protocol really was spun on a dime, and it ended up in the 3-1. We're floating over to a Vault hardpoint, potentially the decider for this series, and what really makes it a little bit more of an interesting opener again for the Vault is if you look at the scores, again, Akron actually have more reps in this map of combination. They're 5-0, St. Clair are 3-0, and this is probably the first real instance when we've seen so far across all maps played where Akron actually have the experience advantage.
Yeah, Akron have that experience advantage, and we've seen what they could do even with a lack of experience, given that they hadn't played the Skyline hardpoint up until today. But again, we just take a look at the St. Clair Saints. I mean, the way that they are playing, I think, you know, we're clutching at straws here for the side of Akron. We'd love it to be true. We'd love to see them come away with a map and start to make this series a little bit more enticing. Bring it all the way and fight back against a team that, you know, seemingly are the favorites. We all love an underdog story, and yet the stats may lean a little bit more in their favor. But, you know, you go off that very simple eye test of what we've seen just here today. It's very clear to see who's currently in the driver's seat and who's the one that is trying to claw their way back into this one. And Akron, they'll give it a good fight, but I'd be very, very surprised if they're able to take this map 4.
It's going to be a really tall order, but at the same time, with Akron and where their heads are at this moment in time, they're one map from losing the grand final, and I can definitely sense that the coaches are having strong words behind the scenes to try and install 4 perfect maps to make it probably the greatest reverse sweep so far in the College COD season. And that's just the optimistic look, and definitely the primary focus on where your eyes and brain should be located in this series, because Akron, yes, heavy underdogs. I just have to go again with the numbers. They don't lie. The experience is there for Akron in this map mode combination. They just can't allow the other 3 maps to really affect the performance on this one and really install doubt, because at 3-0 down, doubt just runs rampant in your head, and especially in a high stakes series such as this conference grand final.
Yeah, the doubt creeps in, the worry, and then you go to the other side. You know, your Saints, you have the momentum, you have the confidence, but do you have the chance again to take your foot off the gas pedal? It's something that we mentioned in that last map where, you know, they sacrificed a round to just not playing it completely right. And when you're in a situation where you feel like you know you're the better team, you're 3-0 up, are you going to be in a position where maybe you're just going to drop from here on in, and that could be something that Akron can take advantage of? It's just a case of us waiting and seeing here as this map 4 gets underway. But you also think then as well, you know, the Saints, they're flawless so far. They're going to want to continue to be flawless. They know that they're setting a historic record here at the moment. They're not going to want to let that one slip, surely.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. Opener again is heavily favoring Akron in the final bell, but St. Clair have the reinforcements from the offset spawn timing, meaning they got the first blood drawn. They can now flood the middle. Akron have to fight from the outside and hopefully win all of their 1v1s, or at least punch a hole. MZ's positioning here could easily force them into the point, but Akron are prioritizing lives here. I think if they start getting anything down here, St. Clair will have no pressure to exit this point, meaning their 26 points accrued here on this hill are going to give Akron the spawns, which they do. Very clever.
A very clever play indeed, but could it be all for nothing? It doesn't look like it, as Bio picking up a huge 3, now chucking those nades, those tacticals across the front as well, knowing where they're going to be spawning. So Akron done a great job of getting themselves some control, but they're going to need to be able to keep it, as we'll see what the Saints' ability is going to be like, being able to break forward from the front, picking up 2, making that 3, and it's only going to be a matter of time before they flood in, and Akron only able to get themselves, I believe, about 25 seconds from that P2 and sacrifice a lot of time on P1 to be able to do so. So again, playing in a way where they're going to be able to keep this one scrappy, keep themselves in it, but for how long? It is going to be a case of them, they're going to need to be able to dominate these hills from time to time, but also be able to successfully rotate over to other hills and not be relying on playing scraps and just trying to re-break or reset on the next hill.
Now, this is really clever from Akron in the closing moments. Sent 2 players to the north side of the map and 2 players for scrap time, meaning they flipped St. Clair out from their dominant position. And they can leave this hill white, but optimally, again, St. Clair want to try and build a lead. Akron just want to try and farm, and it's definitely the right approach with only an 18-point gap, and this hill being very much control positions and don't let your ARs die. Means St. Clair are now fighting from the back foot to get control and constantly trying to just sip away at time. So Akron are prioritizing the next hill, but leaving this one white as their best bet.
Yeah, absolutely. Just trying to keep the Saints off it as best as they can, not sacrificing what is crucial positioning to set up for that P4. As By actually getting pretty pushed up there through the mid is ultimately pushed, actually managing to pick up that kill as well with the Semtech. So getting very aggressive here to try and catch the rotators, but it doesn't quite work, as you'll now see KB starting to push through over to this point. It's a huge gunfight that it is Bio that wins, and Akron are going to be set up for this P4. St. Clair Saints once again going to be trying to break from the front, and we'll see their breaking ability here. Again, it's a hard hill to break. We've seen them break that P2, but P4 arguably even more important, but already a quick 2, meaning they might be able to flood through all sides of this point.
And MZ has to run and hold his position, even stall it. The more St. Clair look back here, the more room for Akron to break from the front, and it's worked beautifully. But wow, Guti, again, the most important player to have to hold a hill, has now fallen down. Wads has to pick it up, and this lead that St. Clair just about have by their fingertips is slowly starting to dwindle. Akron really applying pressure, but the crossfires from St. Clair are just too strong. They'll get 13 seconds here. Akron have got a nice line, but a big strategy call to actually break it up. So this now needs to be, again, a recentering of focus. The next set of hard points are coming around, and St. Clair lead by 29 points.
I mean, it has to be said, I mean, you've been talking about the plays that Akron have pulled out throughout that first set of rotations, and one thing that has made itself very clear already is we are seeing the reps difference here in comparison to that Skyline hardpoint, where it was just a little bit kind of hell for leather, a little bit back to basics. Of course, that map kind of favors that a little bit more, but we are seeing the strategies come out from Akron here. We're seeing that clever play for spawn control, for map control, just trying to play the right points at the right time instead of just trying to run towards everything that's free and potentially get slayed out and give up their positioning in doing that. They're playing this map arguably tactically better than St. Clair Saints at the moment.
Yeah, but St. Clair, I've got Cootie, and I got Seawads doing lots of the dirty work just to keep Akron away. And in terms of the head-to-head gunfights, I mean, you know, St. Clair, it's been pretty much night and day in comparison to Akron, and what are they really bringing to the table here in lots of the 4v4 exchanges. But the same token with St. Clair, they are on a timer, they're on, you know, a fuel tank here when it comes to playing the style of COD. Cuties just seems to be a V8 engine, doesn't really seem to die, but at the same token, lots of power, lots of output, and can obliterate anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we even just seen his movement there before he died. I mean, the movement's just next level, right? I mean, dodging left and right in with that sub, tapping people up, and then dipping before they even knew he was there. He's just that type of player. The movement is just next level. He can just constantly be a nuisance and a thorn in the opposition side. And we've seen that a lot from Seawads as well, right? A player who's been really, really fascinating to watch throughout the course of this series, in that these kind of hard to catch nuisance players where, one, they're picking up a lot of kills, which you have to give them a lot of credit for, but then two, they're playing their lives in such positions which is causing the opposition to having to constantly check their corners, check behind them, check their side, just pulling that focus away from being 100% forward to having that sort of 80-20 split where they constantly have to watch over their back, meaning that St. Clair are always going to have the advantage in those long range positional gunfights when it comes to those ARs, because they know they have the map control at that point. They know they have people worried checking their backs, and ultimately they know where they have to look, which is always going to give them the advantage.
I mean, let's just zoom back into the scoreboard for a second, where Akron's strategy, you know, came back to a very close 8-point game. St. Clair now is starting to employ some very, very inspiring ideas. That's how I'm going to frame it. They've decided again to stick 2 players on every single hill, and even with the overload, they've got so much trust in KB and Rupa with the ARs that they can allow Akron now in this margin to get time. But positionally speaking, they're constantly fighting for a new rotation. That's why in this spot, Wads is now the first person up, crosses the ship in the night that is Bowie, and it's going to be now a very perplexing situation for Akron where they're constantly hunting for one.
Yeah, it is just a beauty to behold the Saints and how they play and how they complement each other. As you said, so much trust in the ARs to be able to hold those lines, but then in that, the ARs having so much trust in the subs to give them that opportunity to hold those lines with confidence, and that the subs can get in there, do the dirty work, and actually pick up the time. It's just a team as a unit that just seems to fit each other so well. The balances are immense, and again, we've seen this in the Skyline hardpoint as well, where Akron had a moment where they were keeping things close, but then St. Clair's just pick up another gear. And maybe it is just a case when it comes to the tactical elements, the positional elements, they can be a little slow to get off the mark. But again, you could argue that's just them feeling out the map, feeling out the moment, understanding what their opposition's bringing to the table in the first set of rotations, and then as a unit just countering that on the second rotations and snuffing out the opposition. Now 88 to what's going to be about 2-2-3-2-2-4 going back into the P1. I mean, an utterly dominant performance at this point from what was, as you said, a pretty neck and neck affair up until this point.
And it's a similar sort of situation where Akron and Skyline around the second set of rotations, you know, made it a 1-point fixture between the two teams, but St. Clair just found a way again to prioritize their strategy and always have a person rotating, so they could then install these really punishing setups. Their catalog of plays and their catalog of holds and every single hard point has been studied for a long time across every college COD team. And Akron, unfortunately, are experiencing a brand new one, where Cootie again can get 2 kills. Even if he loses his life, the overload in mid will be there for St. Clair from all players entering from these 4 exit lanes, and it's just punishing 236 to 92. Akron just about touch time, but it's going to be one last dash for the middle before the new hill.
Yeah, it is only a matter of time at this point as Akron try to keep up a fight, and it is going to be St. Clair Saints who will take it on this hill unless it can be touched. Huge gunfight coming in that sort of just stops what is the inevitable, as you will see KB rotating over to that P2, getting the final 2 seconds, and there you have it. St. Clair Saints taking that map number 4, 250 to 92. An utterly dominant performance in the end up to wrap up what was a dominant performance throughout the entire series as well. It has to be said though, and that is through no fault of Akron whatsoever, what we saw from the Saints was just a beauty to behold.
We now have finally crowned our Northeast Great Lakes Conference champion. Who else is it going to be but St. Clair Saints? A 4-0 in the grand finals. They haven't dropped a map yet, and it's been 3 months of Call of Duty. So you couldn't really put the pin on any other possible team than St. Clair. They take home the conference championship in the Great Lakes region, and they have not lost a single game. Astounding to hear, but every metric to support it. They're simply unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely huge congratulations to St. Clair Saints. Commiserations to Akron Esports, who, again, as we said, we got to give them their credit. They put up a hell of a fight, but just would have needed to have brought a damn sight more to the table to even put a dent in the side of St. Clair Saints, who, as you said, is just a phenomenal stat that they haven't dropped a map all season. They have been flawless and are really deserving of what they have gotten here today. Huge congratulations to them. And again, that hard point was just a case of, you pointed out perfectly, you know, Akron employing these strategies that were very, very unique to watch, that were clever, interesting, gave themselves a foot up tactically and gave themselves the best opportunities to pull themselves into this map and maybe get themselves back into the series. But St. Clair Saints, as soon as they recognized what was going on, they just switched up another gear. They counteracted it to perfection. And from that point onwards, there was a clear winner.
Absolutely. And it's a series where Seawads really brought it in right at the start, but Cootie closed it perfectly. I mean, they're the two players that stand out to me for the roster and just have a completely different stark turn of events when it came to form, because Cootie really started off slow in the Skyline at 6-15 at one point as well, despite the huge win and advantage. But after about the 140 149 mark in that Skyline hardpoint, he just flipped the switch and completely went off, and it just carried on throughout the whole series. And the sub players of St. Clair definitely in the top 5, definitely 2 of the top 5 players across the whole league. And this is speaking across every single person, across every single college, even the top seeds. So they're going to be really a force to be reckoned with, and we will be seeing Akron Zips again coming in the regional playoffs as well. So when we do actually see the winners and losers of the conference championships, one thing to do bear in mind, regional playoffs are a different beast. You actually see a lot of upsets and, you know, some crazy Cinderella runs down the lower bracket. So this might be, you know, St. Clair time to reflect, but also same for Akron as well, where they're going to have a lot of revenge in their gut for what is going to be, you know, one of the more crucial points of the season and leading into a LAN qualifier as well, right up to the summer period. So yeah, a lot really to digest, a lot of COD to get involved in, Zep.
Yeah, I mean, so much COD left to get into, and as you said, it just the games get to a whole different level, right? And when you get to that point where really anything can happen, it is fantastic the work that teams have done getting to this point. But you get to this particular point where it's, you've gone this far, you want to go all the way, but this is where the pressure will really begin to ramp up. This is where you see where true legends are made, whether or not you can handle that pressure of going up against other opposition that really is to your level, which, and again, no disrespect to other teams that may be in these respective conferences, whatever it may be, that they might not just be at level of St. Clair Saints. You could have a situation where it is St. Clair Saints where they just haven't faced opposition that's really challenged them in a way where they've had to fight back from adversity. And as soon as they are put in a position where they have to do so, which is inevitable once you reach a certain level, are they going to be able to answer back, or is it going to be a team that's already proven that they can fight through adversity that will be able to get themselves going all the way?
Well, without further ado, we'd like to thank everyone at home for watching and enjoying this conference grand final. We've got one more coming up tonight as well with Seymour and Narski to walk you through the action. But without further ado, my name is Connie, Zep alongside me. We thank you for watching tonight, and we hope you will have a wonderful time. One more matchup coming up later. Have a great one. We'll see you all soon.